Hey everybody, welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com.
Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh. If you've ever wondered whether alcohol permanently damaged your body, or you've quit drinking and found yourself asking, is this normal? Why am I so tired? Why am I anxious? Why can't I sleep? Why do I still have brain fog after a month? Then this episode is for you, because here's what I want you to know right from the beginning. Your body wants to heal. In fact, healing begins within hours of your last drink. And while every person's recovery looks a little different depending on how long they drank, how much they drank, age, genetics, nutrition, overall health, the human body is remarkably resilient. Today, we're going to walk through what alcohol actually does to different systems in your body, what happens when you remove it, what kind of timeline you can realistically expect, and why some parts of recovery happen on a calendar while other parts happen because of the work you choose to do. Here's the thing about alcohol that almost nobody explains right. It's not a substance your brain tolerates. It's a substance your brain adapts to. Every single time you drink, your brain has to do damage control. And alcohol is a depressant. And before we go any further, I want to clear up one of the biggest misconceptions about that concept. When we say alcohol is a depressant, we don't mean it makes you depressed or sad. We mean it depresses or slows down the activity of your central nervous system. Think of your central nervous system as the command center for everything your body does. It's your brain and spinal cord communicating with every other system in your body. It controls your thoughts, your reaction time, your breathing and heart rate, your coordination, your judgment, memory, emotions, everything. Alcohol comes in and starts turning the volume down on that entire system. Your thoughts and reflexes slow down, your reaction time slows down, your coordination gets worse, speech changes, your judgment becomes impaired. That's what a depressant does. It slows the activity of your nervous system. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your brain is obsessed with one thing, keeping you alive. And more specifically, it wants balance. Scientists call this homeostasis. Your brain wants everything operating within a pretty narrow range. So when alcohol keeps slamming on the brakes, your brain doesn't just sit there and accept it, right? It adapts. It starts pressing the gas pedal to compensate. It ramps up excitatory chemicals, mainly glutamate, and over time, it becomes less responsive to the calming effects of GABA because alcohol has been providing that calming effect artificially. Think of GABA as your brain's brake pedal and glutamate as the gas pedal. As alcohol continues slowing everything down, your brain pushes harder on the gas just to keep you functioning normally. That's why many people who drink heavily don't necessarily look intoxicated because they've developed tolerance because their brain has adapted. But then one day you stop drinking. Suddenly, the artificial brakes disappear, but your brain is still pressing on the gas. That's why early sobriety can feel so physically and emotionally intense. Anxiety, restlessness, racing thoughts, irritability, shaky hands, trouble sleeping, feeling like your skin is crawling. Those aren't signs something is wrong. They're signs that your brain is trying to find its balance again. And every day you stay alcohol-free, your brain begins adjusting in the opposite direction. It gradually turns the glutamate back down, restores its normal response to GABA, and it starts regulating itself without alcohol. That process doesn't happen overnight, right? But it does happen. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that because they feel worse after they quit drinking, like alcohol must have been helping them. But that's not what's happening. You're not experiencing life without alcohol. You're experiencing a brain that's recalibrating after alcohol. Those are two very different things. So we talked about the brain. Let's talk about sleep. One of the biggest lies alcohol tells us is that it helps us sleep. I cannot tell you how many people say to me, Angela, I have to have a few drinks or I'll never fall asleep. And I get it. I was exactly the same way. It certainly feels that way. Alcohol can absolutely make you fall asleep faster, but falling asleep and getting quality sleep are two completely different things. Think about it this way. If someone put you under anesthesia, would you call that a great night's sleep? Of course not. You were unconscious, but your brain wasn't cycling through the normal stages of restorative sleep that your body needs. Alcohol works in a similar way. It sedates you, but it disrupts the quality of your sleep. And one of the biggest problems is that alcohol suppresses REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and it's the stage of sleep that is incredibly important for learning, memory, emotional processing, and just overall brain health. It's also the stage where most dreaming happens. So even if you've slept for 8 hours after drinking, your brain may have missed out on some of the most restorative parts of sleep. Alcohol also causes your sleep to become fragmented. Like you may fall asleep quickly, but as your body metabolizes the alcohol during the night, your brain becomes more active. It gets agitated. That's why so many people wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning with their mind racing, heart pounding, feeling wide awake, even though you're exhausted. Your heart rate stays higher. Your body temperature is less regulated. Your breathing can become less stable. And your nervous system is working much harder than it should while you're supposed to be recovering. The good news is this starts to improve surprisingly quickly. During the first few days after quitting drinking, sleep sometimes can get worse before it gets better. That's completely normal because your brain is learning how to fall asleep without alcohol, and that recalibration takes time. But over the next few weeks, your sleep architecture, right, the normal pattern of moving through different stages of sleep, all of that starts to recover. Many people begin noticing they're sleeping more deeply, they're waking up fewer times during the night, and actually feeling rested in the morning. And that's a huge difference because when you were drinking, you may have been unconscious for 8 hours, but now you're actually sleeping. And I also want to be really transparent about something because I think we do people a great disservice when we oversimplify recovery. Better sleep is one of the most common benefits of quitting drinking, but it isn't guaranteed on some magical timeline, right? And I know this firsthand because I've never been a great sleeper, not when I was drinking, and honestly, not long before I ever took my first drink. I've struggled with sleep since I was a young teenager. As I got sober, I started real recovery and healing, and I learned that alcohol wasn't the only problem I had with sleep. I had a lot of problems with my nervous system, years of chronic stress, trauma, and living in survival mode. Like all of that just taught my body it wasn't safe to fully relax. And I know I'm not alone in that. Many people discover that alcohol wasn't the root cause of their sleep struggles. It was just the way they were trying to cope with a nervous system that had been dysregulated for years. That was certainly my story. But once the alcohol was gone, I could finally see the other factors that were affecting my sleep. That's why I want you to be careful about comparing your recovery to someone else's timeline. There are so many variables that affect sleep, right? Your history, stress levels, trauma, anxiety, depression, hormones, perimenopause and menopause, cortisol, blood sugar, caffeine, medications, sleep apnea. Like there are dozens of things that influence how well you sleep. But here's what I can tell you without hesitation. The quality of my sleep improved dramatically. There's a huge difference between spending 8 hours unconscious because of alcohol and spending 8 hours moving through the natural stages of restorative sleep that your brain and body are designed to have. Even if I still have a rough night here and there, I function better as a sober person getting sober sleep than I ever did as a person who drank myself unconscious. My brain works better, my body feels better, I have more energy, my mood is more stable, my memory is sharper. I'm actually recovering while I sleep instead of asking my body to recover from what I drank. And that's really the theme of this entire episode. Sobriety doesn't remove every challenge from your life. It removes one of the biggest obstacles standing between your body and its ability to do what it was designed to do, and that's heal. And once you're finally getting real restorative sleep again, something else starts happening. Your body can begin repairing itself more efficiently. And one of the hardest working organs in that process is your liver. So let's talk about what happens there. One thing I always try to be honest about is that sobriety didn't magically make me a perfect sleeper. I've struggled with sleep since I was a teenager. So anything that helps create a calmer, more comfortable sleep environment, I am all about it. I've been sleeping on Cozy Earth sheets for a while now, and they really are as good as everyone says. They didn't make it to Oprah's favorite things list for no reason, okay? They're incredibly soft, and honestly, they make getting into bed at the end of the day feel like its own little luxury. And since we're talking about recovery, I think this fits perfectly. Recovery isn't just about removing alcohol. It's about taking care of yourself in ways that actually support healing. And creating a bedroom that helps you relax and get quality rest is one of those things that's worth investing in. I also love that Cozy Earth stands behind what they make. Their sheets come with a 100-night sleep trial. Their clothing has a lifetime warranty. And if something isn't right, returns are hassle-free. That tells me they're confident in their products. And I appreciate companies that stand behind what they sell. Summer should feel easy for everyone in the house. Cozy Earth's bamboo sheet set, the men's everywhere pant, the women's joggers, they're all amazing, comfortable, and designed to keep you relaxed all summer long. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code Angela for an exclusive 20% off. That's code Angela for an exclusive 20% off. And if you see a post-purchase survey, mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on Addiction Unlimited. Okay, back to the liver. I have to tell you, I'm absolutely fascinated by the liver. If you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you already know I'm a total brain nerd, right? I can talk about the brain for hours. But the liver, it is a very close second. It's one of the smartest, hardest working, most dynamic organs in your body, and it doesn't get nearly enough credit. The liver performs more than 500 different functions every single day without you having to think about a single one of them. Like, I say that and it makes me feel lazy. It filters your blood, processes nutrients, stores vitamins, help regulate blood sugar, produces bile so you can digest food. It makes proteins your body needs. It metabolizes medications. It supports your immune system. It just quietly goes about its business, keeping you alive every second of every day. Then alcohol shows up. The liver's number one priority becomes breaking down that alcohol because from your body's perspective, alcohol is a toxin. And here's the catch. While your liver is busy processing alcohol, many of its other jobs get pushed to the back burner. It's like pulling your best employee away from everything they should be doing because they're dealing with one emergency after another. If drinking becomes frequent or heavy, that emergency never really ends. Fat begins to accumulate in the liver. That's what's known as fatty liver disease. And it's often the first stage of alcohol-related liver damage. The important thing to know is that fatty liver doesn't usually hurt, right? Most people don't feel it happening. There may be no symptoms at all. That's why a lot of people have no idea it's developing. But if drinking continues, that fat can lead to inflammation. And over time, repeated inflammation can lead to scarring called fibrosis. If enough scar tissue builds up, it can eventually become cirrhosis. And that's where that healthy liver tissue is permanently replaced by scar tissue. Now, I don't tell you that to scare you. I tell you because understanding what's happening inside your body helps you make better decisions. And here's the hopeful part. The liver is one of the few organs in the body with an incredible ability to regenerate. In many people, healing begins within days of stopping drinking. Fat accumulation can begin to decrease within just a few weeks. And over the following months, many people with fatty liver disease can see significant improvement. It can be completely reversed if permanent damage hasn't already happened, right? Inflammation goes down, liver function improves, your body becomes more efficient at processing nutrients and eliminating waste. Now, if someone has advanced cirrhosis, that's a different conversation. Scar tissue that's already formed generally can't be reversed. But even then, stopping alcohol can slow or stop further damage. And obviously, it's going to dramatically improve quality of life. So wherever you are on that spectrum, removing alcohol is one of the best gifts you can give your liver. And did you know that the liver actually has the capacity to regrow healthy tissue? Like surgeons can take a portion of a healthy liver for a living donation, and both the donor's liver and the recipient's transplanted portion will grow to meet the body and that body's needs over time. I mean, think about that for a minute. It's amazing. It's such an amazing organ. But so many people come into recovery believing they've ruined their bodies forever. And while none of us can erase the past, you have to understand the human body is amazingly resilient. If we give it the opportunity, it starts moving toward healing almost immediately. Like your liver's not just sitting there hoping for the best. It's constantly adapting, constantly repairing, constantly trying to keep up with whatever we throw at it. The problem is that every time alcohol shows up, your liver has to stop what it's doing and deal with the emergency in front of it. And if alcohol keeps showing up day after day, your liver never gets the chance to fully catch up on all of its other incredibly important jobs. So the greatest gift you can give it isn't some expensive detox tea or a cleanse you found on Instagram. Your liver already knows how to detox your body. That's literally its job. It doesn't need help doing its job. It just needs you to remove the thing that's been monopolizing all of its attention. Every day you don't drink, it can just get back to work trying to heal. And I love that because there's a lesson in that for all of us, right? Our bodies are often far more willing to forgive us than we are willing to forgive ourselves. Your brain wants balance. Your liver wants to heal. Your body is constantly trying to move you toward health. Our job isn't to force the healing. Our job is to stop getting in its way. Okay, let's keep following the path that alcohol naturally takes through the body, because alcohol doesn't just affect your brain and your liver, it affects your digestive system from the very first sip. Your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, every step of the journey. Alcohol is incredibly irritating to the lining of your digestive tract. And over time, it creates inflammation and it makes that lining more permeable. You may have heard the term leaky gut. And that phrase gets used a lot online. The medical concept behind it is what's called increased intestinal permeability. And here's what that means in plain English. The lining of your intestines is designed to be selective. Think of it like a really smart security guard or a coffee filter. It's supposed to let the good stuff through, things like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and other nutrients your body needs, while keeping larger particles, toxins, and bacteria out. Alcohol can damage that protective barrier over time. Instead of being as selective as it's supposed to be, it becomes a little more leaky. Things that normally wouldn't pass through can slip into the bloodstream, and that triggers inflammation and forces your immune system to work harder than it should. At the very same time, your body may become less efficient at absorbing some of the nutrients it desperately needs. The protective barrier in your intestines just doesn't work quite as well as it should. And that matters because your digestive system isn't just responsible for digesting food, it's responsible for absorbing nutrients. And if your body can't absorb nutrients efficiently, it doesn't matter how healthy you're eating, you're not getting everything your brain and body actually need. And alcohol interferes with the absorption of a lot of nutrients, especially B vitamins, folate, magnesium, zinc. These nutrients are involved in everything from energy production to nerve function to brain health. So when people say they feel exhausted all the time while they're drinking, alcohol itself is part of the story, but nutritional deficiencies can be part of that story too. Then there's the microbiome. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria. And I know that sounds a little gross, but you actually want them there. Those bacteria help digest food, they provide certain vitamins, they support your immune system, and they communicate with your brain. Researchers call it the gut-brain axis because your gut and your brain are in constant communication. So when alcohol repeatedly disrupts that environment, it can throw the whole system out of balance. And that contributes to bloating, digestive issues, inflammation, and even mood changes. The good news is your digestive system is another one of those parts of the body that starts responding pretty quickly once alcohol is removed. Many people notice less bloating in the first week, right? And digestion becomes more regular over the following weeks. Acid reflux may improve, stomach irritation calms down, your body becomes better at absorbing nutrients again. And when your body starts absorbing nutrients more efficiently, you're giving your brain better raw materials to work with. That's another reason people will often notice improvements in energy and concentration and mood over time. It's not one magical thing, it's dozens of systems all getting a chance to do their jobs again. And I do want to make one thing clear because I don't want anyone listening to think sobriety automatically fixes every digestive issue you'll ever have, right? If you have food sensitivities, IBS, celiac, gallbladder problems, another medical condition, those don't magically disappear because you quit drinking. Again, life is still going to be life, but removing alcohol eliminates one major source of irritation. It gives your digestive system a chance to calm down and work the way it was designed to work. And I love that idea because it keeps coming back to the same theme. Your body isn't sitting around waiting to fail you. It's constantly trying to heal you. Sometimes it just needs you to stop interrupting the process. So let's talk about your heart. Your heart has one job, right? Keep blood moving. Every minute of every day, it's delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell in your body and carrying away waste products. And just like your liver, it never takes a day off. Alcohol asks a lot of your heart. Even a single night of heavy drinking raises your heart rate and your blood pressure. That's one of the reasons so many people wake up after drinking feeling like their heart's pounding out of their chest. It isn't just anxiety. Your cardiovascular system is working harder than it should. And when drinking becomes frequent, that extra workload starts adding up. Alcohol can contribute to high blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, inflammation, and over many years, it can weaken the heart muscle itself. It also increases your risk for heart attack, stroke, especially with long-term heavy drinking. The encouraging news is that your heart responds surprisingly well when alcohol is removed. For a lot of people, heart rate begins settling down within days. Blood pressure often starts improving in a matter of weeks, although that depends on a lot of factors too: genetics, weight, medications, diet, exercise, other health conditions, blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't want to oversimplify it. Sobriety isn't a cure for every heart condition, but removing alcohol takes a tremendous amount of unnecessary stress off your cardiovascular system. Your heart isn't constantly trying to compensate anymore. It gets to just do the job it was designed to do instead of cleaning up after alcohol all the time. And when your heart is pumping efficiently, then your circulation improves and oxygen and nutrients are getting where they need to go. And every other system benefits from that. Your muscles recover better, your brain gets better blood flow, your energy improves, even your skin looks healthier because of improved circulation and reduced inflammation, right? Everything in your body is connected. That's something I hope you're starting to hear throughout this episode. We tend to think about alcohol as affecting one organ at a time or whatever, but your body doesn't work that way. Your brain talks to your gut. Your gut talks to your immune system. Your liver supports metabolism. Your heart delivers oxygen and nutrients everywhere. They're all part of the same team. And when alcohol is out of the picture, it's not just one player that gets better. The whole team starts working together again. And then there's your immune system, right? I think this is another one of those systems that doesn't get enough credit. Most of us only think about our immune system when we catch a cold or the flu, but your immune system is working every single day. It's identifying viruses and bacteria. It's repairing damaged tissues, cleaning up injured cells, helping wounds heal, monitoring for abnormal cells. It's constantly scanning, communicating, and protecting you. And alcohol throws a wrench into that entire process, right? One of the biggest things alcohol does is increase inflammation throughout your whole body. Now, inflammation isn't automatically a bad thing, right? If you cut your finger, inflammation is what helps it heal. If you catch a virus, inflammation is part of your body's defense system. The problem is when inflammation never really gets the chance to turn off. That's what chronic inflammation is. It's like having your home's smoke alarm going off all day, every day. Eventually, the whole system becomes stressed. Alcohol can keep your immune system in that constant state of activation. It's responding to the alcohol itself. It's responding to damage in the liver. It's responding to changes in the gut. It's responding to disrupted sleep. Everything we've talked about so far is connected. And over time, that chronic inflammation can contribute to fatigue, slower healing, increased risk of getting sick, and a higher risk for a lot of chronic diseases. Alcohol doesn't just overactivate parts of your immune system, it can also weaken your ability to fight infections effectively, right? So if you're in this strange situation where your immune system is working overtime in some ways while becoming less effective in others, it's busy, but not necessarily efficient. When you stop drinking, that constant alarm finally starts quieting down. Inflammation begins decreasing. Your immune system isn't spending all of its energy responding to alcohol anymore, and it can start focusing on what it's actually designed to do. And a lot of people notice they don't get sick anymore. That was huge for me. I had like clockwork. A few times a year, I would get super sick and be in bed for, 7-8 days. And I've been sober 20 years. I hardly ever get sick. I don't even get sick when my whole family is sick. Like, it's crazy the difference it makes. But even when you do get sick, you recover more quickly too, right? Cuts and bruises heal faster. And you just feel better. And while you can't see inflammation the way you can see a cut on your hand, you definitely notice its absence, right? Like you wake up feeling less puffy, your face looks less swollen, your joints don't ache quite as much, like your body feels lighter. Again, it isn't magic, it's biology. Your body's been trying to restore balance all along. Removing alcohol just gives it one less battle to fight every single day. I think that's one of the most hopeful things about recovery. Your body isn't waiting for permission to heal. It's been trying to heal from the very beginning. And sometimes the greatest act of self-care isn't adding another supplement or buying another wellness product. Sometimes it's simply stopping the thing that's keeping your body stuck in survival mode. Okay, and then there are hormones, fucking hormones, ruining lives all day, every day. Okay, that might be a little dramatic, but only a little. When most people hear the word hormones, they immediately think about women, estrogen, PMS, perimenopause, menopause. And yes, we're definitely going to talk about that. But hormones aren't just a women's issue. Every single one of us is running on hormones. They are your body's chemical messengers. Okay, think of them like tiny text messages traveling throughout your body, telling different organs and systems what to do and when to do it. They help regulate your mood, your stress response, appetite, metabolism, sleep, energy, sex drive, reproductive health, blood sugar, muscle mass, your body temperature. They influence almost everything we've talked about in this episode. And alcohol has its hands in all of it. So let's start with cortisol. That's your body's primary stress hormone. Remember back in the beginning of the episode when we talked about alcohol slowing your nervous system down and your brain trying to compensate? Well, alcohol also disrupts your stress response. It can temporarily make you feel relaxed while you're drinking, but as it wears off, cortisol often rises. That's one of the reasons so many people wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning feeling anxious and restless and sweaty or like their heart is racing. It's not just anxiety. Your stress hormones are literally shifting while you're sleeping. And then there's blood sugar. Alcohol can cause blood sugar to swing up and down, especially if you're drinking on an empty stomach or you're drinking sugary drinks. Those swings don't just affect your energy, they affect your mood, your cravings, your concentration, even your ability to sleep well. And then there are sex hormones. Ladies, if you've ever been in perimenopause or menopause, you probably don't need me to tell you that hormones can make life interesting, let's say. Hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, brain fog, sleep disruption. Sound familiar? Alcohol makes every one of those symptoms worse. It can intensify hot flashes, fragments your sleep even more, increases anxiety. It adds another layer of inflammation to a body that's already going through enormous hormonal changes. So if you're wondering why that nightly glass of wine doesn't seem to be helping anymore, or why you suddenly feel worse instead of better, that may be part of the reason. But I also want to say something to the men listening. Alcohol affects your hormones too. Heavy drinking can lower testosterone levels over time, and that affects energy, mood, muscle mass, strength, recovery after exercise, sex drive, even fertility. So if you've been feeling tired all the time or struggling to build muscle despite working out, or you're noticing a lower sex drive, or you just feel like you don't have the same drive and motivation you used to have, alcohol may be playing a much bigger role than you think. Again, it's about understanding what's happening inside your body. And many of these hormonal disruptions begin improving once alcohol is removed, right? Cortisol becomes more regulated, blood sugar becomes more stable, sleep improves, which supports healthier hormone production, inflammation decreases, your body starts communicating with itself more effectively again. And again, I don't want to oversimplify this because if you're in menopause, alcohol isn't the only reason you're having hot flashes. If you're a man with clinically low testosterone, quitting drinking isn't guaranteed to bring your levels back to normal. Hormones are complicated. Age matters, genetics matter, medical conditions matter, stress matters. Just like we talked about with sleep, life is still going to be life. But removing alcohol gives your endocrine system one less obstacle to overcome. It gives your body the opportunity to find its natural rhythm again, instead of constantly reacting to a substance that throws the whole orchestra off tempo. And that's really what hormones are all about: communication, coordination, and balance. When alcohol leaves the picture, your body finally gets a chance to start having the conversations it was designed to have. As we wrap up this episode, I hope there's one thing you take away from everything we've talked about today. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It is constantly working to protect you, adapt to whatever you give it, and move you toward healing. Your brain adapts, your sleep begins to recover, your liver regenerates, your gut repairs, your heart gets a break, inflammation starts to come down, your hormones begin finding their rhythm again. None of that happens because your body is punishing you, right? It happens because your body has been fighting for you all along. Alcohol didn't stop your body from wanting to heal. It just kept interrupting the process. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you remove alcohol, your body gets back to doing what it's always wanted to do: heal. Now, I also want to make one really important distinction before we finish. Everything we talked about today is biology. Your body does this work automatically, but your emotional healing, that is different. Learning how to regulate your emotions without alcohol, building confidence, healing your relationships, setting boundaries, managing stress, working through trauma, learning who you are without alcohol, creating a life you don't want to escape from. Those things don't happen on a timeline. There isn't a study that says 47 days in, your confidence comes back, or after 6 months, you'll finally forgive yourself, right? That part of recovery depends on something completely different. It depends on the work you're willing to do. And honestly, I think this is a part that people miss. They quit drinking and start feeling physically better. And then they hit this point where they think, okay, now what? I'm sober, but I still feel stuck. I don't know what I'm supposed to be working on. I don't feel confident. My sobriety doesn't feel solid. And if that's where you are, I want you to know you're not doing anything wrong. You've just reached the next stage of recovery. Your body's been healing. Now it's time to help the rest of you heal. And that's exactly the work I love, right? It's the work I've been doing with clients for years, because quitting drinking isn't the finish line. It's the foundation. Once alcohol is out of the way, we get to build a life that actually feels good to live. A life where you have the tools to handle stress without reaching for a drink. A life where you trust yourself again. A life where sobriety doesn't feel fragile. It feels like freedom. So if you've been sober for a while and you're wondering what comes next, or your recovery feels a little uncertain and you want guidance, I would love to help. You can book a call to talk to me about working together and what that looks like. You can do that at addictionunlimited.com/call. And if you're still in those early days of sobriety, be patient with yourself. Healing is happening even when you can't see it. Your body is doing what it was designed to do. Give it time, give it support, and most importantly, understand you are healing. And I'd love to talk to you if you're ready to get to work and actually enjoy your sobriety. addictionunlimited.com/call. That link is always in the show notes, addictionunlimited.com/call. I love you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.